FlossTube, it's Robin from LadyRobynS. All right, here we are. It is Monday. It is the 13th of March. Tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day. So for all of my Irish friends out there, happy St. Patrick's Day. I hope you have a good time celebrating your special holiday. I love St. Patrick's Day. I love making corned beef and cabbage for dinner. My family hates it. So I think I am going to be kind to them, and I forgot to buy corned beef when I was up at the grocery store, and I'm not sure I even saw cabbage. Oh my goodness, the run on things at the grocery store is crazy, right? So they're going to get a pass. I will scoop some up if I see it next time I brave the outside. For all of you that are here, this is supposed to be a channel about cross-stitch. We'll probably talk about a lot of cross-stitch. I have an embarrassing amount of haul. Embarrassing. Yeah, I saw those new market releases and I went nuts. And what's crazy is, even though I went nuts, there's still stuff that I don't have that I really want. So, oh my goodness, we'll get to that. For my subscribers, thank you for coming back and for spending some time with me. For those of you that are new, thank you for stopping by and checking me out. I hope you enjoy what you see. You get inspired to pick up needle and thread and fabric and do a little stitching. Welcome, all of you, welcome. I am glad you are here. I'm not sure if I said it, but this is my FlossTube number 23. Yeah, 23. Who knew that I'd still be doing this 22 times later, that I didn't just bail after the first one. I'm having a total blast doing this, and I appreciate all of you folks that subscribe and comment, and I have had an absolute blast making connections with all of you fantastic stitchers. Okay, so last week was Nashville, what do they call it? Needlework Market, Nashville Needlework Market, where all the designers and shop owners and fabric and floss folks all got together and shared their new stuff, and we all got to watch a ton of videos on FlossTube. I just tuned in and I watched along, and I gotta tell you, I was thrilled with everything I saw, and I really truly want to own it all. There is very, very few things. In fact, I can't even think of one thing that I looked at and thought, that's not for me, because I watched so much FlossTube and all the market releases, and I thought, that's for me, that's for me, I need that, oh gotta have that, that's on my must-do list. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. Okay, so in honor of Nashville Needlework Market last week, our beverage is in my Nashville mug. And I think I've already showed this one to you before, but Nashville, where you guys are getting all my money. The nice thing is, my husband is just a gem. He watched me trot out my treasures after I went to 2 LNSs and shopped like a crazy woman. And he was like, oh, I love all the things that you purchase. I can see why you had to have them. It was so kind, because he could easily declare that, you know, we can't afford this nonsense, and he was fine with it. He loves me, he gets me, he knows that stitching makes me happy, and so he was okay. He was okay. I kind of thought at, you know, chart 139 he'd freak out, but it wasn't quite that bad. But you know what I'm saying. Okay, so I am home for the next 2 weeks. They closed down the public library, and it started on Saturday. And what was crazy about that was, I went to work. I told you last Monday that I had to go to work, and I was a little nervous about being there and you know, having just had my little medical nonsense. And let me tell you, my managers were less than thrilled to see me walk through the back door. I was supposed to work 5 hours on Monday night. After 3 hours, they were like, you cannot be here. You have to go home. You are freaking us out. So it was so kind and so generous of them to make accommodations for me. I didn't even finish my shift. They sent me home after they had a little meeting with me and told me that there are things they can do so I can telecommute. They found tasks for me to do, and so I telecommuted from 7:30 Monday night, telecommuted Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for my shifts. I gotta tell you, if you telecommute, holy cow, I hated it. I hated everything about it because, first off, I never felt like I was not at work. I don't know how you do it because I know my computer's on, my email's on, I hear that little ding, and I come scurrying in here even though I've already put in my, 5 or 6 hours or whatever my shift was, and I have to see what happened. And so I'm not complaining, all right? I'm not complaining that I was always at work, but that's how I felt. And I was like, oh yeah, this is not for this is so not for me. And I've got a lot of respect for you guys that telecommute, because that is a tough gig. Your work is always a fingertip away, and it's hard to leave it alone, because the other thing is you think, oh, I went and ate my lunch, and did I take 40 minutes when I was only supposed to take 30? Because when you're in your own space, you're kind of less conscious of the time, because somebody's not waiting for you to come back from your lunch break. And so I always wanted to make sure that I wasn't cheating the system. And so it's like, well, did I start my lunch at 12, or did I start my lunch at 12:10? And then I couldn't remember. And so I'm very confident that I gave them all of the hours they were expecting of me, and maybe a few more, because it's really hard I found it really hard to work at home because there's so many distractions. Plus, there's also the distraction of knowing your work is always there, and if you think, oh gosh, I wonder if I took a little too long, zapping my coffee or whatever, I'll make up 5 minutes here and make up 5 minutes there. Oh, the email and blah, Anyway, that's I'm glad that's over. We were planning on closing the they closed the library on Friday after what is it? After 6 p.m. That's when we close on Friday. So they said after 6 p.m. public libraries are closed, and I can't even remember what date it's like for the next 4 weeks. But they still wanted staff to come in this week. And we had also there's a ton of things you can do when the building is closed, and there's a lot of things that you actually want to get to, and you never quite get to it when the building's open and filled with patrons. So that seemed okay. We can do that. Sure, we'll come in. And last night, when the governor declared in the state of Washington that the restaurants and the bars and the clubs and entertainment venues are all closed, statewide closed, our director said, you know what? I'm going with that. We're gonna completely close. Nobody is coming back to the building. So we're completely closed for 2 weeks, which means I have lots of time to stitch all that new stuff I bought. Oh my goodness. It's gonna be Stitch-a-palooza around here. Plus, my son is home for the next 6 weeks. They have closed all of the schools here, and my husband is telecommuting, so all 3 of us are home and trying not to trip over each other. It's fine. We'll make it. It's totally fine. Okay, so now, after all that life update, what did I stitch on? I didn't stitch on as much as you think, but what I did do, yesterday, I FFO'd 2 pieces. I'm so excited to show you. But first, I want to show you what I did stitch, because I did get some stitching in. Let me grab it from over here. So I worked on the Peppermint Purple weekly Blackwork. Is it a sal? I think it's a sal. Whatever. So I worked on that just a little tiny bit. So I got half, well, not even half, like a fourth of that one big square done. And it was interesting. It took me three tries to get it right. I've said this before. I find Blackwork so interesting. I love the way it looks, but it absolutely makes my brain go. I can't just pick it up. I really have to think about, you know, following one line down and then maybe one back up, and, you know, it's not cross stitch. It is not, you know, on cross stitch, you know, I go back and forth, blah, 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 you know, left, right, left, right, left, right, back and forth, back and forth. This stuff, you go up and down, and it's definitely a brain teaser for me. So I want to get this going a little bit more. I did not get much progress. We were watching something on Netflix, and it was way too interesting. Do you have that happen? You're stitching along, and then before you know it, you realize you're just sitting there looking at the screen with your needle and your thread in your hand, and you haven't done anything for 5 minutes, and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to be stitching and watching, and I'm not doing that. So that was one of the things that I did get a little bit of stitching in on this week. And then the other thing that that I worked on was cinnamon stars, and here is where I'm at on cinnamon stars, and I've got to go pull the DMC equivalent there. I think that's supposed to be, I think it's wheat fields. I think that's what the called for fancy floss is. And when I was at my local L&S, Thread Needle Street in Issaquah, Washington, I was looking for that, and she said that particular floss has not been available for months. She cannot get it. Every time she orders it, it's back ordered. So I'm just going to pull the DMC equivalent, and I'm just going to go from there. Fill it in, be done with it, move on to the next star. I am so glad that my last name is Schultz, because I wasn't really looking at this as that being the letter S on the chart. I just, for some reason, I thought, oh, maybe that's the smoke out of the chimney or something. I don't know what I thought it was. So I'm stitching it along, and then I started doing the roof here and realized, oh, I remember people talking about how they stitched that S and then realized, oh, she gave us an alphabet so we can personalize it. And I'm like, whew, thank goodness my last name starts with an S. Because I just, you know, blindly stitched along with what was on the chart, not paying attention and realizing, oh yeah, that's what they're all talking about. So I got quite a bit done on cinnamon stars. So I was really, really happy to make lots of good stitchy progress on that. So after I got done stitching on cinnamon stars, I decided that I really needed to FFO some pieces, especially since I told you I was going to, right? Pretty Little Seattle. So I was talking to my husband, and I was telling him how frustrated I am when I try to finish something, because I iron and iron and iron and iron, and I can never get all the wrinkles out of my linen. It drives me to distraction. I have bought Mary Ellen's Best Press. I've bought flatter. I turn the iron up, you know, to as hot as it will go, and I cannot get the wrinkles out of my linen. And because I stitch in hand, I have quite a few wrinkles that I have to contend with when I finish a piece. So I said to him on Saturday, what would you think if I went out and bought a brand new iron? And he was like, well, you're stitching. You've got stuff that you're not finishing because of the wrinkle problem. So we went to the local, what was it? AAA Sewing and Vacuum. And I walked in and there was nobody in the store. I felt so bad for places like that. You know, I think a lot of their business is classes, and then when people are at classes, you know, they purchase supplies. So there was just the two gals, and we walked in and their heads snapped up, and I told them, I need an iron. And I said, I need something that gets super hot. What I'm trying to do is iron wrinkles out of linen. I actually had brought a finished piece of stitching to test the iron before I made a purchase. Both of them said almost in the same breath, oh, we recommend this iron. It was $140. It's a cordless, it had a great big huge base on it. They plugged it in, I gave it a try. Yeah, it did it. It got the wrinkles out, but I could not in good conscience spend that much money on an iron. So I ended up buying, you know, their second choice, Iron B, which was only $99, which still seems like an awful lot of money to spend on an iron. But it also got the wrinkles out, and now that I've got an iron, I've got the Mary Ellen's Best Press. Between those two things, I just want to finish all my stuff that's stacked in a pile on my desk. So let me show you what I finished this weekend. So in my hand right down here, I've got the very first of the Snowflower Diaries done. I've got January done. Isn't it cute? Isn't it just the cutest thing? And I went completely nuts. I even laced it on the back. So, yep. And then on the back here, I just put this green fabric on, what do you call it, mat board. And I mean, I did everybody's technique on this thing. On this guy, let me just show you what I did here. What I did was, I did what Kathy Haberman shows. So here's the front, and on the back, I just used stitchery tape to just tape it in place. Couldn't have been easier. And then Priscilla and Chelsea, they do washers, and then they put magnets on the back of their piece. Well, we didn't have any washers that we felt were big enough. I asked my husband to help me, and so I was making chili. We McSmith this. Let me tell you about McSmithing in just a second. So we took the top from one of the cans of beans, and he cut it down with his shears out in the garage. So I have a nice little circle, and I hot glued that right in the middle. Oops, sorry. And now I've got a great big metal thing to stick the magnets to. So that is my finish for the first Snowflower Diaries, and I'm super excited about it. So I picked up this little frame at I think this one was Hobby Lobby, I usually end up at Michael's or Joann's. Hobby Lobby's just a little bit further away from the house. Not that it's all that far, but it's just that much further. So, anyway, I ended up, well, Hobby Lobby is right next to our Costco. So I think I was out at Costco, and so stopped in and found this cute little frame. So it's got a little easel. So this will go probably in my front entryway. So that's my first FFO. And then, because that was so much fun, and I had so much luck with my brand new iron, that I framed up Pretty Little Seattle. So this is that 10 by 10 frame I talked about that I picked. This one I did pick up at Michael's. And so there you can see my orca and my ferry boat. Of course, the Space Needle, Seattle Public Library, Pacific Science Center, 1201 Tower, Smith Tower, the Rainier Bank Tower, which we always called the Beaver Building, and of course, majestic Mount Rainier in the background. So there it is. And then this one I also laced on the mat board. So I was going to show you, but this one's got those little clips that you have to bend over. I'm not going to pull them out. I usually do not put glass over my cross stitch. However, this frame came with the glass, and I think because it's on white, I think I will reinsert the glass just to give it, you know, that much more protection. I don't know about you, but having a dog in the house, my house is so dusty. And the dog just brings it in and out all day long, I think. And it gets really bad in the summer because we just leave our back door open and she goes in and out into the backyard. Because I don't want to get up and down and let her in and out, so we just leave the doors open. Okay, pro tip. If you have a pet, what do they call it? The magic, I think they call it magnetic mesh. Anyway, they're at Bed Bath & Beyond. You hang them over your door in the back, you know, on the back of your house. They have a row of magnets they clip together. The dog can go in and out. The dog lets itself in and out, and then you don't have flies in your house the whole summer long. It is fabulous. I get one every year. By the end of the summer, the thing is trashed. Half the magnets have fallen off, but that's okay. You know, it still works well enough. I get a new one. They're usually about 15 bucks. There's your pro tip. If you've got a pet and you're sick and tired of letting the pet in and out during the summer and you can leave your door open, the magnetic mesh, I think is what they call it, or magnetic, what's it called? Magnetic screen door, something like that. But they've got them at Bed Bath & Beyond. If you go in there, they'll know what you're talking about. Okay, so, rabbit hole, sorry. Okay, so there's that. Now, let's see here. I have almost a third finish. This one is almost done. So, this is going to get turned into a pillow for my niece, Maria. And so I did that this morning. It's all, what is it? Yeah, I've got the interfacing in it so that when I stuff it full of the fiber fill, it won't poke through the fabric. And then I have some fabulous Lady Dot pom-poms. So I think tonight when I'm hanging around watching some TV, I will sit and stitch the pom-poms on after I remove it from the trim. I thought about trying to stitch this on my sewing machine, and then I chickened out. So I'm going to hand stitch this. So this part I did not stitch. Perpetual Projects, her name is Erin, had this. She had stitched it up and she asked if anybody wanted it. And I'm like, yeah, I got a niece named Maria. So I'm turning this into a little pillow for her, and yeah, I'll show you when I get it done and get the pom-poms put on there. So I've got like 2.5 FFOs. All right, so stitchy plans. I have fallen in love with a number of freebie charts over the last couple of weeks. So I think I showed you this one, the one, it's spring, and this is by From the Heart Needle Art by Wendy. And if you Google it, it was on Instagram a couple of weeks ago. So when I was buying all the things at my L&S, sorry, Crinkle Crinkle, I picked up this beautiful Jobelin in the color Bluebell. I think that gives you a better idea of what that color looks like. So I'm going to stitch It's Spring on this, and she's got it charted in Classic Colorworks, which would be great if I owned any Classic Colorworks. I don't own any, so I'm just gonna pull out my DMCs and I'm gonna find some stuff and do my own thing. So I'm gonna do it on this. There's a couple other spring charts that I think would look super cute on this, so I bought a pretty big piece. It's 27 by 18 inches, so I'll have plenty of this Jobelin to do some of those freebie patterns on. The other one that I was thinking would be super fun, if I can find it. So when I was at my L&S picking up patterns from Market, let's see here. Where did she go? Oh, here it is. She gave us this freebie chart, which is Peter's Day Out by Lindy Stitches by Stephanie. And I thought this would also look really cute on that. So I'm going to also do Peter's Day Out. There were, look at this stack. I'll give you a quick little flip through. This stack, I've got like 6 charts that Denise from Threadneedle Street picked up at Market. So I got a whole bunch of freebies. They're really super nice. Okay, so that's one of my stitchy plans. The other thing that I am going to work on is I'm going to work on the April Snowflower Diary so that I can have that up for next month. And then I'll try to keep myself stitching on those so I can get them up for the month as opposed to putting up in January and March. Yeah, so I'm gonna work on those. I'm gonna keep working on Cinnamon Stars. I still haven't started Cardinal Points. That's also on my list of things to do. I also want to keep working on the Peppermint Purple Blackwork. I have lots of things on my radar of things I want to stitch. And speaking of things I want to stitch, Stone Street Stitchworks posted a freebie on their Instagram feed, and it's this. It's called Our Daily Thread. Isn't that cute? So she shows it with the alphabet, and then oh, it's down here, and then here she's done needle linen thread stitch. Isn't that sweet? So she's afraid we're all going to be completely bored now that we're all housebound because of the virus outbreak. So I thought that was super nice of her to chart something up for us. The other thing that I saw on Instagram, was it yesterday? Might have been yesterday. I'm looking on my desk here. Let's see here. Is our wonderful Kathy Haberman of Hands On Design created a nice freebie for us, a little thank you to all of us for shopping, and it couldn't be cuter. So I'm looking forward to stitching that as well. All right. If you do not want to see rampant consumerism, if that's not your thing, peace out now. Because I have got Haulapalooza. Holy cow. It's embarrassing. But I'm going to show you what I got. And because I shopped at 2 shops, it's like you kind of forget how much you spent at the one, and then you go to the other, and then there's even more stuff. So, in no particular order, I started out my shopping with Summer Notes by Shepherd's Bush. Isn't that cute? You know that I did the spooky notes for October. The next one I picked up is Winter Notes, also by Shepherd's Bush. I'm totally looking forward to stitching that as well. And these stitch up quick. There's enough space that even though it's a fairly large chart, it doesn't take as long as you'd think. But I'm going to make up for that with this guy. I picked up Huckleberry Farm by the Blue Flowers. See if I can get it so there's no glare. I love everything about this chart. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. In fact, I did only 2 pre-orders at my local L&S at Threadneedle Street, and this was one of them. When that was shown kind of on a sneak peek, oh my gosh, I just about fell out of my chair. Had to have it. The other one that I had to have is Mary Mary Needlework by Lindy Stitches. I adore this. And she shows it, and she's charted it in 2 colorways, which I'm sure you guys all know. She's kind of got the night version and then the day version. I'm going to go with the day version. Yeah. So, those are my purchases at Threadneedle Street in Issaquah, along with my blue Jobelin. And then Denise was so kind. She ran me off thank you charts, freebie charts. So I've got, what is this? Autumn Lane Stitchery. It has kind of a Halloween chart for us. Our friend Michelle Bendy had a fantastic chart. We've got, I think it's Little Girl Stitch. She's got a spring freebie, which I'm looking forward to that. We've got Peter's Day Out, which I just showed you. We've got Teresa Kogut. Oh my gosh, look at this. Create every day. I'm with you, Teresa. We got to do that. Okay, we've got Welcome Spring from the Blue Flower. And was that it? Yeah, that was all of the freebies that Denise gave me up at Threadneedle Street. Thank you, designers, for these freebies. These are fabulous, and I can't wait to stitch them all. So I appreciate that. Thank you so, so much. Okay, so I went to Threadneedle Street on Tuesday, and Friday I went down to Acorns and Threads with my friend Lynn and my friend Lisa, who is crossed by Floss on FlossTube and Instagram, and I went nuts. So again, in no particular order, I picked up Fireworks on the 4th of July by Stone Street Stitchworks. Love that. And I didn't really have a patriotic stitch. Becca of Sandbury Stitches was talking about doing a patriotic stitch and doing it like, I can't remember what she said, like the 4th of every month maybe. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, I thought, well, that would be perfect. I would love to stitch on a patriotic stitch. So that just totally fit the bill. Okay, so hello from Liz Matthews. I loved Yonder. Oh my goodness. Loved that. I can't wait to stitch that. Okay, this one. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Did my eyes roll out loud? When I was a little kid, I was a big eye roller. And my grandma, my mom's mom, hated it. And I can remember one day she had said something which I thought, of course, being a kid, I thought was ridiculous and dumb and, you know, whatever, fill an adjective here, right? And so whatever it was she said, I rolled my eyes. And my grandma caught me doing it. And my grandma said, you sit in that chair and you don't move from that chair for like 10 minutes. And I was like, ugh. So I sat in the chair, and I think every time she looked over at me, I was rolling my eyes at her. And she was like, it's 5 more minutes. I don't know how long I sat in the chair until she finally kicked me into the backyard. But I am telling you, when I saw this chart, I had to have it. It makes me giggle to think of my grandma and sitting in the kitchen rolling my eyes behind her back. Oh my gosh, she was a peach. She was a gem. She wanted you to follow the rules though, and if she didn't like something, she let you know. So there you go. That's my eye rolling story. All right, so next in my list of things I couldn't leave behind was the hands-on design. What do they call this? Well-rounded. Ah, love this. Love this. Love everything about it. Can't wait to stitch those. Let's see, what else have I got here? Oh, you guys, this is not a market release, but this is my unicorn chart. I have wanted to stitch this one forever. And the crazy thing is, I hate spiders, but I love this chart. And when I was down at Acorns, oh my gosh, it was sitting, just waiting for me. I couldn't believe it. So, I have found my unicorn. Okay, so there are more things. There are more things that I must declare so that I can stitch on them. Okay. Okay, yeah. So then, I picked up this cute, I should have just taken this thing. This is, all right, I'm just gonna grab it. Crinkle, crinkle, sorry guys. I know that gets loud. So I picked up this cute little bag. It was just too cute to leave behind, so got a little accessory bag. I picked up, I don't think, this is not new, but somehow I just hadn't seen this before. Fox View by Plum Street. Love that. And tulips are my absolute favorite flower in the planet. On the planet? In the planet? On the planet? By Barbie Petal Pusher. So I picked up that. I would have picked up, she also has one called Evergreen. I would have picked that up also, but I didn't see it. So, you know, it'll come. All right. I also picked up 2 by Teresa Kogut. I picked up Struttin'. I love this. I think this is adorable. Can't wait. And then I don't know what it is, but I absolutely love foxes. I love foxes. They're so adorable. And this one couldn't be cuter, and it's got the cute little birdie over here. Oh, can you see that? Cannot wait. Now, I also spotted Teresa's Pet All the Dogs sampler. That's also on my list. And I didn't pick up her Celebrate book. That's also on my list. Somehow I managed to get out of both LNSs without picking up Blackbird Designs Sewing Club. That's also on my list. And you guys, I don't know how it happened. I didn't pick up the Bendy Stitchy Blue Flower collaboration. What? Oh my gosh. You know, so there are still things that I'm needing. Okay, so the last thing that I purchased was this from the Primitive Hare, this booklet. And let me show you. Okay. Look at that. I love that. But this is what did it for me. Sea Hag. Mermaid before coffee. You can't leave that behind. You gotta have that. So I also picked up the fabric that it's stitched on. And even though there weren't pins in it, I picked up all these adorable pins. So that, my friends, is my Hallapalooza. My holy cow. My good grief. Do you think you're a millionaire? It's probably a good thing that we're like self-quarantining because I'm not allowed to go out and buy anything. Oh well, it'll get stitched. It will. It really will. I love all of these, but I'm surprised, even with, you know, this huge stack of stuff, how many things I still want to purchase. And there were a couple Heartstring Samplery ones. I didn't get anything from Heartstring Samplery that was on my list. I think what happened is I got my arms full of stuff and then kind of went, oh, this is a lot. And kind of put the brakes on. So that is where I ended. That was plenty, right? Plenty, plenty, plenty. Oh, the other thing I did I did take down my Barbara Anna pattern that I was gifted. And so I did buy fabric. So this is ready for a start. All right. Leave me a comment. What did you buy? Or what are you dying to buy? Is there anything? I know I asked you this last time, but I'm just curious. Now that market releases are out and you had things that you were curious or interested in, what did you actually buy? Leave me a comment. All right, you guys, I hope you are having a fantastic day, that things are going well for you, that you can find TP in your grocery store. Ours is completely cleared out. Oh well, they'll get restocked. I am not worried. I hope you're not worried either. I think we are going to get through this just fine. It's going to be okay. So, that's my declaration. I'm declaring it's going to be okay. All right. I am happy to have chatted with you. I hope you all stitch happy and you have a great rest of your day. Okay. See y'all next time. Bye.